Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BF44 coming at you with another video. So, now I'm looking at it from the Celtics perspective. As far as the Dennis Schroeder situation is concerned, I'm assuming that this gets done. 5-9, 1-year deal to the Celtics. I don't know if the Lakers will pull off a sign and trade or not. I'm not certain if we'll be able to do anything there. I don't know. But what I can say from a Celtics perspective is now you are significantly more flexible in theory. Because now what you can do is shave off salary or trade Dennis Schroeder for a lot more than what you purchased him for. Because at this point, you know that's like the best contract in the league. Suddenly, Dennis Schroeder is literally the best contract in the league because he's making 20% of what his value's worth this year. So you would be crazy not to do something with that if you're Danny Ainge. Or is it Brad Stevens? Did they move Brad Stevens to that position? I'm not really sure. I'm confused about how they do things in Boston. I think people moved up, so I think that's how that went. But if you're that team over there in Boston, you now are in a position to make some trades and do some things that you couldn't have done before this. Like a guy like Marcus Smart is on an excellent contract too. So, you have so much flexibility at this point. Now, I don't know how they use that flexibility or if there's anything to do. Maybe there's nothing to do. Sometimes you find yourself in a situation like this and you start thinking, like I'm saying, we got to do something. Sometimes you really don't have to do anything. But the option is there for the Boston Celtics to kind of get their bang for their buck since they have Schroeder on a 1-year deal for so little. Now you can go out and swing for the fences, maybe overpay, trade for a heavier contract to make yourself better, or go get some players that you can go get, maybe grab some picks for Schroeder or something. There are a lot of things you can do now that you have such a productive player on such an affordable contract. It's like having a highly productive rookie, like Zion Williamson or something, or a guy like, who knows, one of these top rookies that are coming into the league, like Jaylen Brown. You can do all kinds of things when you have players like that playing at a super high level, because now you don't need to have certain players who you're paying so much to do those things be on your cap at that price. You see what I'm saying? Now you could take those guys, ship them out, get some picks in, some younger guys to even make your cap more flexible, to position yourself maybe 2-3 years down the road. Or you can go all in. Try to trade for a guy like Dame Lillard. Now you have significantly more you can be willing to give up because you got Dennis Schroeder making $5 million. You see what I'm saying? Swing a 3-team deal, 4-team deal. Now you can go picking and choosing. It's just a lot of stuff GMs can try to make happen when you have this type of flexibility. So this is the type of stuff that I love, man. I pay attention to this kind of stuff, man. I wish I understood the salary cap better. It's still a little numbery for me. I'm not the greatest when it comes to numbers, but as it pertains to just looking at moves and things that can be made, how you can, shift pieces around, stuff like that, that's how my brain works. So I can see kind of stuff like that ahead. I can see what Danny Ainge can now do because of a contract like Dennis Schroeder coming into his situation. Couple that with the fact that a guy like Evan Fournier walked away for nothing. Now suddenly the Boston Celtics in a position they can go get a guy. The Lakers are trying to trade for Buddy Hield. Celtics can go get Buddy Hield. The Celtics can go. Let's say the Celtics want to try to just go throw in everything and try to get Dame Lillard. In a great position to get Dame Lillard. Great position. They got all kinds of assets they can give up now. So it's like, they may be at this point. I don't want to overstate this because you still have to understand the demands of a team like Portland. But I think with Schroeder coming in on this kind of contract, you may be able to swing a Dame deal without giving up Jaylen Brown. I know that's a stretch. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds insane. But that's the type of thing you would have to literally take everybody else, is what I'm saying. Because you wouldn't be giving up Jaylen Brown, you'd be throwing in other players that you otherwise wouldn't give up. But what I'm saying is, such a thing is possible, rather than being forced to throw in Jaylen Brown. You see what I'm saying? Now, come down to Portland saying Jaylen Brown or nothing, as to which I'd expect them to give up Jaylen Brown anyway. But the flexibility, maybe you get super creative and say, no, we're not giving up Jaylen Brown, but we can try to get what Jaylen Brown is worth from another team and such and such. That's how you get so many different trades from different teams involved. So it's like, yo, in an era where you see 8, 9, 10 team trades, I can totally see the Celtics trying to come up with something like that to try to get Dame out of Portland. And if they can do that and keep Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, I like the Nets. The Nets are a bit old. When you start talking about that trio versus the Nets trio, the Nets are a bit old. That's what I will say. It's scary. That's all I can say. So I think like that. If I'm the Celtics GM, and I'm sure they are thinking that way, and most GMs are thinking this way, this is the way you have to think, especially when you have a bunch of picks like the Celtics do. So they're in a great position, man. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get as creative as I allow my mind to go. And like I said, you got to have cooperation from everybody, which is nearly impossible because no one's going to want to help the Celtics win another championship. But when you see the Lakers making moves, you see the Nets making moves, you see Miami making moves, you see, all these different teams getting better around you, Charlotte, Chicago, Indiana, all these teams are improved, New York. Boston Celtics are the only ones that haven't done anything. They let people walk away. Flexibility created for what? For what? That's what I ask them. Are they just gonna do nothing and this is just happenstance, or are they actually calculating something? But I'll tell you this: I'm looking at Jayson Tatum, I'm looking at Jaylen Brown, and the timeline, it's good, but now we're starting to get to a point where it's like those guys are gonna look around, they're getting antsy. It's like, how much longer are we going to play on the Boston Celtics without having our opportunity to win a championship? We watch Giannis get there. We watch Miami get there. We watch, you know what I mean? When are we going to get there? Guy like Jayson Tatum has always been a Laker fan. We know this. It's no secret. He's a Laker fan. So the moment he gets an opportunity to leave and go to the Lakers, I think he's going to do it. I've been thinking that since he was drafted. I think he's going to do that. Unless Boston gives him more than enough reasons not to. For which they have thus far. I mean, they've paid him. He stayed. But I'm telling you, they got to start making some moves that speak to championship opportunities. The East can't keep getting better while the Celtics continue to stay dormant. You're going to start falling down. You see teams like Atlanta. I didn't even mention the Hawks. Like, you can't. The Boston may not make the playoffs this year. Or Boston may win the championship this year if they do something creative. You know what I mean? That's the type of thing you can do. You get the right GM in there who's wily minded, or someone who's a gunslinger, they will swing for the fences and try to bring something like that to Boston with the type of assets they have. I look at Oklahoma City, same exact thing. Because when you have those type of picks, you can get super creative, man. Stuff that we're not seeing today is possible. The Thunder could 100% put together a super team. 100%. They could do that. They have the assets to accomplish such a thing. Now, what their plans are for their franchise, how they want to put things together, they're normally built through the draft. I can totally see them continuing to do that. But what I'm saying is, when you start hoarding picks like those two franchises, you have no limitations on what it is you can accomplish, really. You have the most flexibility possible. So I'm just looking at it and saying, man, Boston should probably do something. If Bradley Beal, looking at that situation, he starts getting a little more, less interested in being part of this, because I look at that Washington roster. It has some good things, but they're a couple years away from having the pieces necessary. Maybe he goes into the season, starts losing a couple games, starts saying, you know what, nah, I can't do this no more. Because he was already fed up 2 years ago. I could totally see him wanting to be a part of Boston. He already said that. He wants to play with his homeboy Jayson Tatum. They have the assets to go get him. With a Dennis Schroeder contract being as small as it is, They got the assets to go get him. Yeah. It's up to it's up to all parties involved, but they could totally make that happen. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting to see. I'm not saying that Boston's going to necessarily do these things, but what I'm saying is they should. They should, if it's at all possible. They should. I look at a team like Sacramento. Keep an eye on them too. They're very, very. They are hinting at being extremely ambitious this season. They don't sound like a team that's coming in with the same mentality that they've had in their front office for the last several years. They are looking to do things that are big, and so that's what I'm saying. Keep an eye on that franchise too. Anyway, my name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.